Stop letting a down market slow you down. In this conversation with Justin Padron, a loan officer out of Dallas, Texas, he talks about how his conversion rates are up and how he's growing this year in a down market. He's going to walk through the strategies he's using with clients in order to get them through a consultative process and across the finish line. And he's also gives his killer realtor script, not towards the end, so you're going to hang in, of how he's actually getting conversations with top agents on Zoom and closing them to do business with him in the future. Stay tuned for our conversation with Justin Padron. Welcome, everyone, to another Loan Officer Mastermind. I am your co-host, Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon. And whether you're watching us live here on Friday, listening to it on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, thank you so much for joining us. I am super excited for our guest today. I feel like we've had him on before. As Yogi Berra once said, it seems like deja vu all over again. But before I bring him on, let me, of course, pass it off to my co-hostess, Deborah Byrd.
Hello, and happy Friday and long weekend. So, reminder to all, we have Memorial Day on Monday. And for anyone who is grieving the loss of a loved one who fought in battle and lost their life, our hearts and prayers are with you guys. Remember to be sensitive around that day. It is not the same as Veterans Day. And I'm super excited to have Justin on. I feel like Justin's like a little brother. I hate to say little because he's younger than me, but he is quite a bit younger than I am. He's also a client. He's been a student of ours through Exactly What to Say. He is a true advisor and mortgage coach, and then is a coach outside of his work life. He has 3 young kids and he coaches baseball right now, maybe softball, I guess, when the little one gets a little bit bigger. But he's a stud, he's a pro, he's a friend, and I'm excited for today's call. And Dave, off to you.
All right. Well, I want to remind everybody, this is the Win by Noon Friday Mastermind. So I want everybody just to always take a little pulse check. How am I doing at winning by noon? And to win by noon, you got to win your morning. How are you doing on that this week? By the way, I have upgraded my game. My cold plunge is back in action. I won by 7 this morning. I'm on my way to winning by noon. So today's guest is someone that I've interviewed multiple times on the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. He's been on the stage of the Modern Mortgage Summit. He's been on the stage of the Mastermind Summit. He is literally one of the, not just top producers, but leaders. He's very inspirational. His story is very inspirational. The adversity he's overcome to achieve the kind of results. And then I also think he's really positioning himself to be one of, like, when you think of future-proof, data-driven mortgage advisors, like, we got a little poster of Justin Padron. So Justin, I'll pass it back to Todd to kick off the formal mastermind, but I'm fired up, my man.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. What an intro.
I love it. I don't know that you want to be kicked off as Deborah's little brother, but I think that the two of them did a great job of setting you up. But, kind of for those who don't know, can you just give a little background? I know, where you're located, production, that kind of thing, just so people have a little bit of an idea of who you are as a mortgage producer, because I think that Deborah and Dave did a great job setting you up as a super producer and a great human.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All the kind words from all of you. But got into the business in 2017. I'm local here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, a little town called Southlake. Last year we were just underneath 70 million in production. This year we're a little bit behind where I was hoping to be at this point in the year, but we made some kind of structural changes inside the team, and I've really shifted my focus from growth right now specifically more to making sure the team is aligned, because that's really what's going to catapult us over that threshold. So numbers this year, I think we're at the end of May, we should be right at 30 million, maybe slightly under it. So we're still trending in the right direction. It's just not as big of a growth as I was hoping for this year, but we still got, plenty of time this year to get after it. So
love it. Yeah, it sounds like you're ahead of the 70 million. So that sounds great. Deborah, you kind of helped them theme this as Moneyball mortgage. So why don't you kind of kick off with the first question and kind of the frame around that?
Well, we were going back and forth, and it's kind of a different twist to the title than maybe what a lot of you may be thinking. Not that he's not a data nerd and super data driven, but it was really from the angle of what's winning right now, from the data of his clients and how he's advising clients and the strategies that are working right now. So I'll tee it up with that as the first question. Justin, what would you say with your growth that just from this year and over the last couple of years when it's been a pretty challenging market, what are the things that you're doing with clients that's winning right now?
With rates doing kind of what they did back in March, and we had the conflict with Iran and a lot of uncertainty, rates have jumped. This is one of the things that like really separated me from the last 3 years is I don't run away from the storm, right? Like there's a storm coming, rates are moving a little bit higher, a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you had a pipeline that was floating. I had a couple loans that were floating and got kicked in the shorts with, but learning lessons, right? Business opportunities. I think that the biggest thing that we're doing right now with clients is one question. And it really I'll just ask you guys, Deb, if you're a client sitting in front of me and I ask you the question, hey, Deb, do you want to buy the house at 725,000 or do you want to pay more at 750,000?
Well,
Which one sounds better to you?
the lower one.
Great. Would you be open-minded to looking at a different scenario?
Sure.
Cool. And so from there, with rates at 6.875, right? I can show the consumer if we go at 750 and we get the same 25 in concession, you now have a $200 lower payment and you're going to pay $60,000, $70,000 less in interest over a 10-year window. And when I give that explanation to people of, oh, crud, I didn't realize that I can get into a home with a much better interest rate than what I was hoping for and a lower payment. And the only thing it takes is me giving them list price versus a concession. Their whole process flips. And then the second piece as an originator that you'd want to add to this is that $25,000 difference in price, right? If you bought it at 725 today, 3% appreciation across the country, pretty normal. You're going to make up the 25 difference in 1 year. But now you've got a lower interest rate. You're going to make up the appreciation on the home in 1 year, and you pay significantly less interest over time. It's a huge win for consumers if the seller's paying for it.
So one thing I want to call out with what he just did is he helped uncover a gap that most loan officers are not going to uncover. So they're going to, on the other side of this questioning sequence, this advice jujitsu move, the consumer is going to be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Oh, and by the way, when a consumer thinks that based off your questioning sequence, your ethos goes up. Like they respect you because they're asking questions that are delivering obvious value, and their respect for you goes up, and also their trust goes up because they were
Big
thinking
time.
like, oh, this guy's got my best interest in mind. Oh, this guy knows things that other people don't. So while this might sound subtle, when you ask questions that have gaps that most loan officers don't, like he's changing the game. I just wanted to call that out.
Well, it's a slow roll, right? Instead of going in and just saying, hey, I think most loan officers would just say, hey, instead of offering 725, why don't you offer 750? And then they would tell them about the savings. And instead, as you said, Dave, Justin created that curiosity gap, used exactly what to say, not just most people also used, would you be open-minded?
Yep.
And so it's a slower process, but most of us hurry up on that call and we don't allow it to play out like that. So that's just really good from a timing perspective to think about versus, I think what I'm often guilty of, which is just telling them what I want to tell them, to show up and throw up and then they don't get it because they just felt like they were run over.
Yeah, I think most originators, they jump into it and it's how quickly can I get off of this phone call and do everything else that an originator has to do. And so for me, I think, over the last 4 years, what I've learned the most is that leads have been down. The number of transactions have been down in an area in which I can improve without more leads is just better conversion. And so spending the time that's necessary to build that trust, the rapport, and like Dave mentioned, make them wonder, what else does this guy know that I don't? Consumers want that. They want to be led through this process from start to finish. And so if I can challenge them, challenge your sale. If y'all have never read that book, highly encourage you to do so. Man, it's been a game changer for my business. In 22, I think we were right at like 38 million. The following year, we grew 43. The next year, 53. Last year, just underneath 70. So very difficult times, very difficult market. Knew that leads were going to be short. We had to have better conversion. And that's where I focused.
I interviewed Josh Campbell, which incredible interview. It's in our YouTube channel. He's doing over 80 million in production out of South Dakota, which is impressive enough. But what's even more impressive is that he manages a region for CMG, and that region is going to do almost 700 million this year, and they're up 48% over last year. And when you listen to that interview, he is teaching and training his loan officers to create curiosity gaps. And he actually shows one of the gaps in our conversation where there was a consumer that qualified for 10% down conventional financing. And he even made the case, like every loan officer would have just been competing on that conventional financing 10% down. And he put in his mortgage coach, he put in an FHA, which had a lower interest rate. And he was able to show that, you know what, like you could do this, but look at this. Look at how much faster you could build up your equity. Look at how much lower your monthly payment could be because he created a curiosity gap. Anyways, keep on going and love curiosity gap, Todd. I gave you credit one time for it. It's now my idea, and I will
That's
be
how Dave
using that.
rolls. He
I
takes
will be
it.
using that in all of my teaching and training going forward.
Yeah. Like obsessed with impact. I can't
Yeah.
remember who originally said that, but
Yeah, I don't think I think I originally did say my advice makes a difference, but there's not a whole lot of savage originals. They usually come from people, and then I swipe it out.
Put in the code. Put it in the code.
Yes, in the Savage Code.
well, Justin, I think that's a perfect example of just undervalued stat within the advice that you're giving clients based off their unique situation that really helps you then convert and not only close for that transaction, but correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of your business is from repeat clients in your database. And when we first met, man, it was, I don't even know how long ago that was, but you were like, I'm actually not very good at staying in touch with my database post closing. Like I'm not
Yes.
consistent with email marketing. And I was like, well, how in the world do they remember you? And when you went through your process, you were like, I really think it's the, world-class service and that your advice coming from the financial planning background. So to use your phrase, Dave, your advice makes that big of a difference in their world or was enough of a paradigm shift where you're memorable and you're referred to. Like you're the you create raving fans that send you business. So walk us through a little bit of how you developed that process or things that other undervalued stats within conversations that you feel like creates that dynamic experience for them where you're creating raving fans.
I think the thing that I've always tried to do is never sell somebody on a mortgage, right? Like that's not the end goal for me. Um, Very early in the career, it was different. It's a commission-based business, right? We are salespeople, but I think making that shift from recognizing where people are and whether or not it's a good decision for them to actually purchase a home, they're relying on us for that guidance and advice. This is a massive purchase for them, rates being elevated, purchase prices being elevated, property tax are now higher, insurance is now higher. It's more expensive to own a home. And so I think for me, I've always just tried to go into every single meeting that we have as if the person I'm talking to is my brother or my sister or mom and dad. And what kind of advice and guidance am I providing to them? And I just kind of look at each individual family or person that we get to work with through that lens and just recognize that the person that's sitting across from me, they don't want to be sold. This isn't a sales job for me. It's more just advice and guidance. And when I can deliver that and do it in a way that's very confident, they feel that energy. And I'll ask, what's been the experience like with other originators? Have you guys gone through this process before? And I'll have an understanding of what that process was like. And guys, majority of the time, they'll answer, yeah, I've talked to other people. And that's an opening for me now to really kind of shed light on their experience. Deb, let me guess. You've had a 15-minute phone call with them. They sent you a link and said, hey, fill this out. You uploaded documents, and then they maybe sent you one itemized fee worksheet instead of an actual mortgage coach presentation. When I adopted Mortgage Coach, that was a huge up level for me. And I'm not just saying that because Dave is on this call. I religiously do this. Every single person that we talk to, they walk through a live presentation on the phone or on a Zoom meeting. We change purchase price amounts. We show different options. We look at the total cost of that option over time and what's going to be the best option for them. And sometimes there's things that surprise me even going through that. And so I think just looking at each individual family as somebody that is needing your guidance and advice and treating them like they are family, That's been a huge, thing for me. One of the things that we do at the end of the year, and this is something we want to get better at with our I say past clients, but our client database, right? Is really doing more events, more webinars that bring value to them. It doesn't even have to be mortgage related, but it's more about, hey, I saw this, I don't know, thing for young kids. It helps them sleep better at night, right? Like sending that out to your families that have young kids. Moms and dads are going to want that information. So this is an area, Deb, for me that I really want to take to that next level and improve. We do a big Christmas party at the end of the year. My wife is my business development person on the team, and she blows this out of the water. It's a super special event. We have Santa come and take pictures with all the kids, and I get to see all the families and hugs and get to, know their kids.
And it's
We
at your
just,
house, right? Like you do
it's
it. Yeah.
yeah, we invite people to our house, which, kind of weird some people out of like, I don't necessarily want clients at the house. To me, they've invited me into their family. I'm going to invite them into my family as well and continue to grow that community with the people that I get to work with.
I
Wow.
love that. I love the fact that you're doing events and Zooms and whatnot for clients. One of the
Well, he's
things.
not quite doing it consistently yet. I've been putting the squeeze on him for like 2 years.
All
He
right.
does the live
I
event
Calling
consistently.
out your little brother. Well, I'm going to throw something out there just as a side note because I've had a couple people ask. Right, I feel like this is where oftentimes we hear these great ideas on our loan officer mastermind, and then we don't execute. And so I was teaching a group of real estate agents a few weeks back, and someone mentioned that they were seeing a lot of listings that show buy down. So go back to Justin's original thing he talked about, where he said the 750 versus 725 example. And an agent mentioned that in her area that there's a lot of homes that have been sitting and that they're actually an MLS saying, hey, we will give you money towards a buy down. So agents are talking about it. So I got up in front of the room, 35, 40 agents. I said, who here feels like they're an expert on buy downs? And again, instead of me just throwing up all over them, I created a curiosity gap, the thing that Dave Savage created. Um, and and I just said, hey, who here's an expert at it? And of course, like one person raised their hand. I was like, all right, that's awesome. Maybe you should teach a class. And then I said, okay, who here feels like they could learn more? And then almost the whole room raised their hands. And so then I took actions. I said, great, I'll come back and I will teach a class on buy downs. But then I realized they have a little TV in the front of the room and no one was able to see my TCA for that. So I went back last week, taught on something different, and then said, hey, I'll teach next week on Zoom a loan buy down masterclass. And there was 35, 40 agents in the room, 29 signed up. So I'll throw the link here in Zoom. I'll put it in the show notes for those of you who are there. If you want to lurk and watch me teach, I haven't even promoted to any other agents outside of that, but it's going to design to be a 20 to 30-minute class. And I've been inconsistent in helping my team with that. So I'm going to take the challenge from Deborah and I'm going to get consistent in that as well. But I'll throw it in the link. You're more than welcome to join and watch and see how I'm going to approach it. And the best part about it is I'm going to have a new script now, the script that Justin used earlier.
So, Justin, what is your team structure like? And then give us a little bit of behind the scenes of like, do you have theme days, Monday through Friday? Like, how are you able to accomplish and really slow the process down enough to give the level of service and advice that you do? Like, how does one actually do that? Is probably what a lot of LOs are thinking right now.
So team structure, I've got a production partner one right now. She handles everything from initial lead to pre-approval. So she's having what we call the dreams and goals call, the initial call. She gets a good understanding of who the client is, what they're looking to do, what concerns they have. Her goal is really to get the application and to make sure we have a full application. From there, it gets sent to my production partner two, who is responsible from pre-approval to contract. She helps me build loan presentations. She helps me with all of document review and making sure files are put together appropriately in the way that they need to. And then I've got what we call a loan specialist, which is essentially a processor who handles from contract to close. And so for me right now, we're actually looking at trying to bring on a junior loan officer to come join my team and really partner with me. That's going to free me up to kind of get out of the conversion side of the business and really focus on lead generation and leadership for the team. And so I'm just going to throw this out there. If there's anybody here in Texas in the DFW area and you're wanting to join a top producing team, like shoot me a message. I'd love to chat with you about what we're doing. It could be really fun. And so that's the team setup. What was the second part of the question
What
there?
are
Real quick before we move off that, I don't want it to get lost. He called out saying, hey, if anybody wants to brainstorm or mastermind locally, everybody listening to this, I always, everything I've achieved at a level of success in my life has come from masterminding. And while going to live events is important, what happens on that live stage is important. The masterminds that take place outside of the stage and in your local markets matter most. So I would just throw that out to everybody to do a little coffee meetup. Think of who are the people in your local market, driving distance, that you admire, that their results, you see how they show up on social, or you just heard from someone that they know something you want to know. You should be masterminding. You should be meeting up monthly, less than quarterly, and connecting with local LOs. So just wanted to double tap that and push everybody to play that game in your local market. And by the way, I noticed someone, who was it in Portland, Rich. I've been thinking about putting together a little mortgage coach lunch. Shoot me an email, Dave at Trust Engine, if you want to be on the invite list when I do a little mortgage coach meetup in the Portland, Oregon area.
Man, I want to come to that.
I'll give you advance notice.
The second part to that question, Justin, is there anything that you do on a consistent basis before noon, or it doesn't have to be before noon, but what is it that you do consistently that has given you the results year after year that are your kind of non-negotiables and standards, would you say?
Yeah, I love it. So winning by noon, super critical. We've got 3 little kids. If my wife and I don't wake up early together, we have zero time in the morning. We are super stretched thin. We've got a 7, a 5, and a 3-year-old. All of them, except for my oldest, need us to like help them get dressed and brush teeth and comb
White
hair,
butts.
right? So alarm goes off super early, usually between 4:30 and 5. We'll get up, we'll get our exercise in. I'll typically read a little bit in the morning. It could be the Bible, could be a different book. And then I like to meditate and kind of journal too. So those 3 things just kind of help me ground my morning and before the kids get up, I get a little bit of me time and get what I need to take care of myself before I go into the world and start helping to take care of other people. So if you're one of those that wakes up and immediately just looks at your phone, man, put the phone down, like spend some time with yourself and kind of map out what you want to do. And doing that process has really led me to where I'm at today. Because I just mentioned we're looking at adding a junior loan officer and kind of me pulling back from the conversion side of the business and really focusing on the lead generation and partner acquisition side of it. Without the clarity of the morning, I wouldn't really feel like I've gotten to a place where I kind of know what that next step is for me. And so if you don't have a map, you don't have a plan, wake up in the morning, get up and get after it. Like our business is hard right now. And I believe the ones that are going to be successful are the ones that are going to be the ones that run through the storm instead of running away from it. And so it could be a pity party for everybody, but guys, there's people out there that are growing like crazy in these difficult times, and you can be one of those people as well.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I love the story of the buffalo, right? The buffalo runs into the storm and gets through the storm faster versus the cow who runs away from the storm and then it gets stuck in the storm for longer. I think that's super critical. I do like the shift that you're making, right? I think a lot of people are struggle with the fact that you're like, hey, I've got an assistant. They do all these things for me. And so my encouragement for those of you who heard that and went negative, hey, I don't have that. I would think about it this way, right? Build out your calendar just like Justin has, where he's doing the consultation part that he wants to do and the part that you eventually only want to do. And then actually schedule the time where you actually play the role of your assistant. So you schedule the time where you create your TCAs, you schedule the time where you work on your loans. That's how I originally did it until I was able to build out a team so that people would do those things for me. But ultimately, in the end, you have to have that vision for what your team looks like in order to get there. Do you have a recommendation, Justin, for anyone on kind of the first step to get there?
I would say look at your business and what drains your energy the most.
Mhm.
For some, it could be application review. For some, it could be the consultative approach. Find out for you what drains your energy the most, and then delegate that as quickly as you can. When you can get that time back and you can get that energy back, you're going to show up better than if you just, are the one that's continuing to do it. And I want to echo Todd's sentiment of might sound weird, right? Like I've got 2, 3 different people on my team. Not everybody has that. I recognize that. But guys, 3 years ago, I didn't have anybody. It was solely me. And so from 3 years ago to now, we've been able to grow and implement what we've done. And it can be done. Like I'm not just sitting here, I'm not any different than anybody else in our industry, in my opinion. If I can do it, you can too. You just have to take that step. What's going to get you the time back to go originate 2, 3, 4 more loans? And so again, it could be the initial consultative part, it could be the application review and document review. To me, that's the space that I think is most impactful right from the jump and gives you more of your time back. And so if I was giving somebody one piece of advice, it would be find somebody that you trust that can review applications and documents and make sure that files are good to go. So that way you're not the one responsible for it.
Hey,
Todd, I got a question for you that may also help.
I want you guys to workshop a little bit. What drains your energy most? And I want you to also be thinking about, of the things that you do daily and weekly, what gives you the most energy. But right now, let's just journal real quick. And if everybody could put in what drains your energy most, I'm not going to lead you. I want you guys to answer it on your own, although I do have a few thoughts on what I think it is. But come on, everybody, put it in. And if you're watching this in YouTube or you're watching the podcast on Spotify, because this is now streaming on all podcast platforms, let us know what drains your energy. By the way, I love that Kathy said my own self-talk, because I had a hunch that our own little conversations about the wrong things or the things we're procrastinating is a big one. Anyways, back to you, Deb.
I'd love to know, Kathy, when do you see or hear yourself talk more? Like, are there certain situations where it's louder than others? Rich said negative discussions, political doom and gloom. My question was going to be for Todd, and I was thinking it would also help Justin and the audience, but it sounds like Justin's trying to replace himself in the business so he can spend more time growing the business and less time.
Well, I heard he's trying to take himself out of conversion and put himself in lead gen. So I don't know.
As the advisor role, like, and be more like leader, division leader, grow the team.
Rainmaker.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, Justin, just to get clarity around that, is it also to bring on other loan officers and build out a region, or is it purely rainmaking for your own team?
I would say both. I think for me, coaching has always been part of my blood. My uncles were coaches, college coaches. My cousin was an offensive coordinator for Bowling Green a long time ago. Athletics has just been part of our family. And so that natural drive to help people get to where they want to go and kind of show them the way to get there is something that's natural for me. It's why I coach 3 different teams in the fall and 3 different teams in the spring. Like, I want that time with my kids, but I also love getting to share that time with other kids and families and helping them improve and get to where they want to go. And so I think it's both. I think for me, if I can solely focus on the lead generation part, that's going to make things a lot easier from a day to day. And then if I can help originators go from that 8 million to 20 million, man, we just changed their whole financial world. And then we help them go from 20 to 30 and then 30 to 50. I've been there. I've done it. I know the struggles. I know Kathy, I can relate to the negative self-talk. I've been in that position myself, plenty. Trust me. Don't view me as sitting here, somebody doing almost 70 million in volume, as somebody that has everything figured out. I don't. I can tell you that right from the jump. We're constantly learning. I look at Dave's LinkedIn posts, the newsletter every Tuesday. I got an idea from him that he shared with Sean Herrero. I love the idea. So I sent Dave a text. I sent Sean a text. And I was like, dude, this is killer. I'm about to swipe and adapt this. And it's been helpful. It really has. So you've got to have that constant
strategy, the one-to-many open houses.
Yeah, the one-to-many open houses. And so, I'll just be vulnerable with everybody here. Calling on agents and cold calling on agents, I freaking hate. It is not fun. Like, it's not fun. I called a whale the other day and she immediately just hung up the phone. And I was like, well,
Does
shit.
anyone else relate? Drop in the chat if you can relate with that.
She's probably not going to be somebody I work with, right? So, like, gamify it. It's not a personal thing to you. They get these calls, 2 times a day throughout the year for 365 days a year. And we've got to do something that's different. And so with that open house strategy, there's some scripting around that. I'm happy to share it, but read that article that Dave just posted. That strategy is 100% killer. And then you guys might start to find out, I'm definitely a studier. I learn. And then I also have a very unique ability to take what I've learned and implement very quickly. And I think AI is super helpful with that. But if you're cold calling and somebody tells you, I already have a lending partner, I want you to use this line right here. Oh, I know. It's just not me yet, right? and make them smile, make them laugh. And then you go into, hey, just curious, Deb, how long have you been a real estate agent?
16 years.
Wow, that's impressive. Deb, again, you've been in for 16 years. Through that time, how many loan officers would you say that you've worked with or really partnered with in that window?
Well, worked with a lot, truly partnered with a few.
Is that like three, four,
Yeah, I'd
five?
say probably 7 that I
Okay,
felt
so
like were my
six.
go-to partners.
Yeah. Okay, so seven. You've been in for 16 years. Deb, I'm not really that good at math, but I can kind of run the numbers on that. And it sounds like every couple years you're kind of switching to a different partner. I'm not looking for you to switch right now. What my goal is to be on your bench. That way, when your preferred lender does mess up, you can put me in, coach.
Will you pay for leads?
No. The unique part is I don't have to, right? The company I'm with better originates 30,000 purchase leads across the country every single month. So we can talk about that, Deb, if you'd like, on kind of the lead generation. But no, we don't pay for leads. I'll show you how we can help you grow your book and your business without spending that money. Would
Did
it
you
be
say
worthwhile?
30,000?
30,000 purchase leads across the country every single month. Yes.
I love
But to
that. Great
finish
role
that,
play.
I would say let's get you off of Zillow and Realtor.com and spending money there. Let's go show you how we can make up that money without the spend. Would it be
Well, my
worth
first
30
thought is
minutes?
how in the world are there even 30,000 interested right now? Like that's what is running through my mind is, are there 30,000 people really interested in buying right now?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, DFW alone, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. I think it was like maybe 9,000 transactions in April. I have to go back and look at the numbers on that. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was like close to 9,000. And that's just here in the DFW.
I think that's always it, right? We always forget that there's so many transactions out there, and we're just they're transacting every single day, and I think we all have an opportunity, even in a down market. Somebody's buying a house, and the question is how do we get ourselves as loan originators out in front of them, and then how do we encourage our real estate agents to get out in front of them as well? All right, Deb. Before you were asking a question, what was that question you were asking?
How did you replace yourself? Like, I don't know if everyone knows that you're like a big deal with your own production and your own team that you've built. And you also, what's ironic is your wife is an attorney or was an attorney, and you brought her into the business, same thing that Justin's done. And when I heard, and what I thought Justin was saying was if he replaced himself as the advisor in his current business, like you were able to do that pretty successfully. So is there any advice you would give to Justin as he's looking to take more of that leadership and lead gen role? How did you do it?
I think it's great because I think Justin's already on that path. To me, it's vision, right? You have to lay out what does that vision look like. And I was originally brought up in a world where you look 10 years out. And 10 years out to me is really hard, but it's really important. So I basically wrote out this plan that I wanted to be the stereotypical $100 million agent. And I wrote out what my team looked like. And it was a pretty good description of it. And then today, I really believe there's a great book by Cameron Herold called Vivid Vision, where he walks people through how to vividly create a 3-year vision, which I think is a better option for most people to think a little shorter term, especially in a changing world. But I still think you got to know what the big picture is 10 years down the road. And then I wrote out just what Justin talked about. He already nailed it. Like, what do I really enjoy and what am I good at? Right. Because ultimately, that's the sweet spot. What do I want to do and what do I enjoy doing? So for me, it was business development and lead conversion. And so I eventually hired my first hire to take over this kind of the similar stuff to what Justin talked about. And then when that person got too busy, we did the same exercise with her. Okay, well, what are you good at and what do you enjoy doing? And we hired someone to take those other pieces off of her plate. And so when you think in the future, one of the things I did early in the business was I had a business phone and I had a business cell phone and a personal cell phone. Because what I realized was is people would call me on my office phone, leave a voicemail, call me on my cell phone, leave a voicemail. And again, you know me, I'm really fickle about my time. And I didn't like the fact that I had to delete 2 voicemails. I didn't have to listen to them both. So I just made one number and made it a different number, which I did notice Justin did. He's got a new number he's using. And so that allowed me, once I was out of the picture, to literally not have to worry about, I mean, real estate agents don't have my cell phone number. They have my team's cell phone number, which they think is my cell phone number. I'm sorry if you're listening, real estate agent, and you don't have my real phone number. But ultimately, I had to think that was me thinking 10 years ahead of myself. And so it's really thinking ahead. And then I got out of production, right? I did 550 loans in my last full year of production, 113 million in a flat year. And then I secretly did loans again during COVID because my wife made me. But it was so easy to step back in there. What did I do? I just did lead generation, lead develop, lead conversion. And I built the team out to do the other things for me, right away. And, did almost 800 loans over a little over 2 years during that time.
Did you also bring on other advisors like you were recruiting for the division or?
Yeah, I built, my wife and I built 4 branches and had 85, almost, over 85 employees while I was still building my team during that time. And so I wore different hats. So I brought in a business partner. So I'd have somebody who people didn't want to work with, an assistant. So I have a business partner still 16 years later, the person who runs the team today. And then after COVID, I had to hire just like Justin got on here and promoted. I actually had someone who called me who I did his loan, said, I'd love to be in the business. I'm like, hey, good luck. And he's like, no, I want to work for you. And Shay now is the person who took over the production that I rebuilt. I don't know what his total numbers were last year offhand. I mean, the team did about 80 million last year, on track to do a little over 100 million this year. So, all right,
Wow.
That's a lot I threw out there, but that's where I would
By
start.
the way, people don't realize, Todd, what a baller you are. Just a reminder to everyone, Todd. I don't know too many loan officers that have had more years where the team did over 500 units, and that he, had built a real reputation as being the guy that when someone had hit a ceiling of like 100, 200, or 300 loans, they'd be like, Todd, will you coach me on how to get to 500 loans a year? So just remember that, everybody. Like, Todd is a baller, even though he is the co-host and leader of this. But I do want to call out to everyone. I want you to look at the numbers of just how many people are running credit reports monthly, annually. And I do want to remind everybody on this call that every time you have a conversation with a consumer, you have an opportunity to help them in a very profound way, whether they qualify to buy a home right now, whether they're going to use you or not. If you look at that as like, you know what, I've got like 5 to 15 minutes to really deliver some financial education to this person that's going to help them build wealth with real estate, help them achieve financial freedom. Like every credit report is an opportunity for impact. And if you kind of take away like every credit report is an opportunity for a commission check, and you go with every conversation is an opportunity of impact, you'll actually get more commissions if you just change that mentality and that mindset. And needless to say, 30,000 leads a month is like nothing when you look at the number of people in America that are thinking about buying a home every month.
Yeah. Todd, the thing we're going through, and this is a mistake I made early in my business, was everybody relies on me. And so right this very moment with the 2 different phone numbers, if I get a text to my personal, some agents do have it. That was a mistake I made already. I'm pushing everybody back to the business phone and just tell them, hey, it's going to take me a lot longer to get this to you. Please text my business phone and they will handle this.
Yeah,
Very simple.
I think it's super smart. And there's a lot of technology out there. My team uses Ring Central for it. And so when someone calls or texts that number, there's actually 3 people who are on that line to respond. And I just tell them it's my personal cell. I don't even tell them it's a team line. Eventually I'll tell them it's a team line or someone else will jump in, but we have multiple lines on there. It's not that expensive to add. So we've got an Arizona line, which is where the team is based. I now live in California. We've got a California line out here, really just because the real estate agents and the consumers are like, well, I don't want to deal with someone in Arizona. So it's pretty easy to add another line and use technology to your advantage. And so that's why I think you got to think 1 to 10 steps ahead, so that you get there. And there's so many unique pieces that we all can learn from each other as we go through it. And what I love, Justin, is, you're talking the right talk, you're doing the right things, you're getting the right coaching, laying out the right plans. And I would just encourage the rest of you, even if you think, hey, I don't really, my belief is not everyone wants to be a $100 million producer. You already said, hey, I'd love to take someone from 8 to 10 to 20. And, that's my belief, right? Like help people reach their potential, whatever they believe it to be. And but you still have to have that vision for it. If you really haven't thought about what that future looks like, it's really hard to figure out what are the steps I need to take to get there. And then most importantly, what's the next step?
Hey,
It's very difficult to do on your own, especially if you've never done it. And one thing I've always done is I've not been afraid to reach out to people who have done it. Jeremy Forcier, Shayla Gifford, Ryan Grant, Josh Metal, like those are big, big hitters in our industry, right? I was a $25 million producer. What the heck do they want to talk to me about? Well, every single one of those individuals was super gracious with their time and spent that time with me and answered my questions. And that really got me on the path to accelerate my growth. So if you're sitting there and you want to grow and you don't know where to go or where to start, reach out to somebody that you admire in our industry or somebody that's in the position that you would like to get to and ask them to spend time with you. The majority of them will be super open to spending that time and helping you.
yeah. Also, guys, I put a couple links in chat. One is just free. Public service announcement. First Home IQ recently came out with a new web page that like literally the link to this web page is just gold when it comes to being that financial lighthouse to communities, to your database. And then the one below that, where I call it my personal First Home IQ webpage, that's like for ambassadors. And Neo, the company Justin is with, is a partner of First Home IQ. And I think literally one of the top 3 lenders in the country in terms of loan officers that are ambassadors of First Home IQ. But check out that link because that's what an ambassador gets. And keep in mind, that's a lead magnet. While it is designed for first-time home buyers, guys, there's financial literacy for everyone. And then anyone that owns a home that has kids, or anyone that doesn't own a home but has kids, they want to help their kids achieve home ownership, use those resources, and if you want to be an ambassador, either, text, email, Todd or I, or just go to First Home IQ and there's a place to learn more about that.
For those of you listening, the new main page that Dave mentioned is learn.firsthomeiq.com. And then you can check out Dave's personal page at firsthomeiq.com/Dave Savage, all one word.
Boom. All right, we're in the last 10 minutes. Audience, you got to ask them quick or we won't have time to get them in live. D Byrd, no one knows Justin better than you, given the working relationship you guys have had for many years. You're the one, I think, who actually introduced him to me years ago. Where do you think we should go in these last 15 minutes?
Well, let me ask you, Justin, is there anything we haven't covered that you want to make sure gets covered since we have 14 minutes left? Is there anything we've left out? Otherwise, I've got more questions I can ask. I did see you recently did an interview, I think it was with Tim Brahim on rate shoppers. Is there anything from that you want to share that would help?
Rate shopper perspective, really kind of some, Phil M. Jones scripting around it. The one that asks the questions is in control, right? So when client calls in and says, "Hey, what's your rate?" Well, hey, rate's super important, right? But do you even know which product you want to be quoted for, or do you know the differences in products and what the
Just the
benefits or
lowest
negatives
rate,
are?
lowest rate, lowest product, whatever it'll take to get there, buddy.
Yeah, perfect. Are you looking at a condo or are you looking at a single family home?
Single family home.
Single family home. So that's going to give you a lower rate, right? Condo rates are a little bit higher. So if you're looking at a condo rate, you don't want to go that route. And then conventional or FHA, Deb?
You tell me, whatever one's lower.
Lowest rate's going to be FHA, but there's some negatives to it. Do you know about those?
No, that's why I'm asking you.
Cool. We could take that a ton of
Yeah.
different ways, right? But like you have to disarm the person that's calling you. The only thing that they've ever been taught in mortgage that's important is the interest rate. Thankfully, with Mortgage Coach and how you present numbers, you can show that lowest rate's not always the most beneficial thing. I like to tell stories around this. Part of our success has been around our refi process. Back in 2023, October of 23, I think everybody will remember walking in and seeing 8% interest rates on their screen, right? Pretty like eye-opening day for me. I had never seen that before. One of my good buddies, he closed on a house. He closed at a 7.875 interest rate and he was nervous as can be. So I just had the conversation with him and said, "Hey, Blake, totally get that the interest rate makes you feel uncomfortable. You have to trust me that this opportunity is going to come to where we can refi your loan and have no cost associated with it. So we did. We executed on that, moved him down a full point. We gave him a credit for his closing costs, and then we set up what the next strike rate or next strategy would look like. We executed on that one also. We got him down to 6.125 where we covered his cost again. So the guy's done 2 refis. He's saved $1,300 in a month, or $1,300 a month from where he previously was. And the next time we're going to look at something is when rates get to about 5.5, if they ever do. I know many of you are hoping it does, just like me, right? But once it gets to 5.5, then we'll look at spending money and we'll pay points and probably buy this interest rate down into the fours. And that'll be the last time. But for him, his total cost will be about 20 grand to execute, but his total savings will be about 2,500 bucks across all 3 refis. So his break even and looking at that is roughly about 10 months. And so for him, that strategy made sense.
We did get a question from Rich in the chat that I want to make sure we give time for you to answer, Justin. He said, what would be the first thing you would do to reinvent your business?
To reinvent, I wouldn't have been as
And let me
hesitant.
put some context. Not that I know Richard exactly where he's coming from, but I think when I read that, I think of someone who is frustrated with the current level of business they're wanting, and they want to get to the next level, and they don't believe what they're currently doing is going to do it. And by the way, whether Rich, if you want to put more nuance or color around it, do it. But I know there's a lot of people that sit in that. I mean, probably over 50% of the mortgage industry, maybe over 60, 70% of loan officers are in that position. So if you could answer it now.
Yeah, I think if you're sitting there frustrated about kind of where business is, where numbers are, the things that I would really start to take advantage of is number one is your captive audience marketing strategy, right? You've got deals that are coming in, you've got a buyer's agent, you've got a listing agent. How aggressive are you attacking that listing agent to set a meeting? And do you have a consistent process for your attack of that listing agent? And if you don't, here's the 3 things that I would encourage you to do. When the contract comes in, call and celebrate that moment. Make very small promises to that listing agent that you know you and your team can execute on. Number 2, when the appraisal comes in, call to celebrate that moment. And then number 3, at the very end, if you don't do number 1, you're really not going to be execute. You're not going to be able to execute number 3. But the way that I would do number 3 is essentially ask questions on where we can improve. This shows humility to the agent, right? We're going to get them talking. Hey, Deb, really great to work with you. We just funded the loan. My team was super impressed by you. I got a question though. Was there anything that we could have done different or better to make your experience and your client's experience better with working with us? They're going to give you an answer. Majority of the time, it's going to be, no, you guys were terrific. This was amazing. I loved working with your team. And they just gave you the opportunity and the free opening to tell you that your process was excellent. There was nothing wrong with it. Great. Deb, when are we meeting? My team and I would really like to do more business with you. I'd love to have you come into the office and show you what we do from start to finish for the buyers. I know you were representing the sellers and you felt very taken care of. Allow me to show you, come into the office or spend 30 minutes on a Zoom with me, and let me show you what we do for buyers.
We don't really work with a lot of buyers. I tend to do more listings.
And do you ever have buyers that walk in that are unrepresented there to your listings?
Yeah,
What's your process for attacking those?
I don't have one.
Would it be helpful if I could spend 30 minutes with you and encourage you on opportunities that you're missing out of, right in front of you right now to where you can help convert more of those buyers? Is that a goal of is that a goal of yours to have more buyers for your team to work with?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. I'm going to send you a calendar invite for next week. Is Tuesday or Thursday better?
Thursday.
Great. I'm going to send you a Zoom invite. I'll see you Thursday. It's not hard. It's really not hard.
Just
Play
so
with that.
proud of you that you're using your exactly what to say verbiage like so easily. Aren't you proud, Todd? Look at him.
I am proud, but I also wrote down that when are we meeting? Like that was like the dagger, right? You didn't say, you could have gone some other ways. Like, could it be possible to meet, or are you open-minded to meet? You could have used some other stuff,
That's
but you
soft
just,
shit, man. That's soft shit.
He's the
You don't need to be
linebacker, bro.
soft. Like,
well, That's a harder one for someone they're going to feel like a jackass if you say no. And then, again, then you said, hey, here's a Zoom link too, because they're already thinking, oh, I'm not going to hop in my car and drive and meet this guy or have him come over to my house because I work from home. And so I think you just have to be brave and bold sometimes to really get what you want. And I feel like that's
Totally.
held me back in the past. And so I'm just going to encourage you. I mean, think through that three-step listing agent process. Some of us oftentimes fail to make that first call to introduce ourselves, which is what opens the door. He said celebrate, right? Which opens the door to get the next call, which is he didn't say big promises, he said little promises so that you can under promise and over deliver so you can get to that last call. You just have to do it and have a process for it.
Small
I
promises are super critical for that. And then I want to back up to the third call, right? If somebody does give you feedback, you need to write it down and you need to graciously say thank you. Deb, thank you. The only reason that we've gotten to where we are as a company or as a business is because we've asked this very specific question. I am hyper focused on making sure start to finish is executed perfectly. Mortgage is a nuanced business, right? Not every transaction is going to go perfectly. And so the feedback that you gave me is invaluable to me. It's how we've built and gotten to where we're at. I'm going to take this back to the team and we're going to talk through where we can improve this. And once I get that finalized, would it be okay if I gave you a call back just to kind of let you know what change we've done and implemented to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Absolutely.
Love,
Perfect.
love these scripts. I know we're almost at closing, Todd, but I want to share a couple closing thoughts on my part. I think it was Todd who said, "Be brave and bold." And and one thing when you're trying to make a real pivot in your business and get to the next level, whether it's like get out of the struggle bus into the thriving bus, or get out of the I hit a plateau, do I want to get to the next level? Be brave and bold. I shared an interview I did with Netta Mohammed a couple weeks ago. She literally in 3 years became a full-time loan officer. First year did 8 million. Last year did like 56 million. This year she's on pace for over 70 million. And check it out. Like, she was brave and bold. She'll tell her kind of mortgage startup story, and it required her to be brave and bold. And then she has a really killer advice experience that she delivers, which I know Justin does too. And my guess is anybody that's not just killing it, they either don't have an optimized, wow, perfect loan process, and or they do, but they're not doing enough above the funnel work. But the combination of crushing your perfect mortgage experience and doing what you need to do above the funnel is the key, my man. Todd, I'll hand it to you because I know we're getting close to time.
We are getting there. So, Justin, final words from you before we close out.
Man, always fun to get to see you guys. I just appreciate you, all three of you, and what you do for our industry. I remember being a very new originator that had no freaking clue what to do. And where did I go? I came right here to listen to you guys and the people that you had on the platform. And it took me from somebody that knew nothing about mortgage and what to do with a mortgage to somebody that's now going to clip over 70 million and grow a team. So, man, super appreciative of you guys for having me on and for your friendships over the years. I've learned a lot. And if you're new in the business, I'd encourage you tune into these channels, tune into the people that are where you want to go. And if you can take those processes and you can figure out your implementation process, you're going to have the ability to get there too. And if there's any way that I can help you or support you, reach out on Instagram. Padron Loans is my handle. Send me a DM or connect with me, and man, I'll jump in and help you wherever I can.
Deborah.
I'm just so proud to see where you come from, Justin, and where you're at and where you're headed. So it's been an honor to serve you and be the pain in the ass that's squeezing on you to do more or to optimize in different places that maybe you hadn't thought of. So just appreciate you allowing me to have front row seat to that. And for all of you who showed up live today on this call, or if you're watching this after the fact, like, I appreciate you guys for caring enough and investing the time into yourself. Even if you're struggling with the execution part, like the fact that you're still showing up, like you can't win if you don't show up, but you then got to execute and then squeeze out the opportunities where you may be overlooking what's right there in front of you. So
Yeah.
great job, Justin, and keep going.
Gratitude is where I'm at as well, Deb. Dave, Deborah, Justin, it's always fun to hang out with you all. Appreciate everyone who is listening both live and in the recordings. If there's anything else that we can do to help you succeed in this business, reach out. That's what we're here to do week in and week out. And as always, on behalf of Dave, Deborah, and myself, we look forward to seeing you next week. Jonathan Roach is our guest. And for those of you struggling with the positive mindset, there's no one else I can think of who can help maybe with that transformation that Jonathan would. Look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, everybody, we're wrapping it up. I'm going to be having Shayla Gifford as my guest on the Mortgage Coach Tuesday Coach's Corner. Check it out, and great seeing you, Justice, and congrats on your success.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you all too.
Take care,
All right.
everybody.